Welcome to Inspirational Mondays. Inspirational Mondays are brought to you by academic rock stars. Academic rock stars believe in promoting academic success at all levels. Inspirational Mondays were created not to motivate one to complete a mundane task or routine, but to inspire one to achieve greatness. Today's message is entitled, I Hope You Fail. Yes, you heard it correctly. I hope you fail. Again, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the message. I want you to take a moment and go look in the mirror. If you do not have a mirror available, turn on the front-facing camera on your phone. I want you to be able to look at yourself. I want you to look yourself in the eyes and say this with passion. I hope you fail. Say it again. I hope you fail. Now take a deep breath. Relax. Hear me clearly when I say, I hope you fail. Robert F. Kennedy said it best. Only those who dare to fail greatly can achieve greatly. You want to be great, correct? You want to do amazing things, correct? You want to achieve the goals you have set before yourself, correct? Let me be the first to tell you, you will fail. Yes, you listening to this podcast. Yes, you who just looked in the mirror. Now I said you will fail, but it is up to you that you do not quit. Derek Anthony Redmond was running in the 400 meters at the 1992 Olympic Games in Barcelona. As the runners took their mark, a silence fell upon the crowd. You could tell by the body posture of the runners they were in tune to the task before them, the 400-meter race. Pow! The starting pistol was fired. Immediately, all of the runners took off. The semifinal race was intense. Derek Redmond was in the middle of the pack. Then, about 150 meters from the finish line, Derek began to grimace. He grabbed the back of his leg and fell to the ground. When he fell to the ground, the crowd gasped. The race was over for him. There was no way he would win the race. He would not earn a medal for the 400 meters at Barcelona. But then something amazing happened. He slowly began to get up. He started to limp along the track. Then you see his father run out of the stands past security to assist his son. You see, Derek was a winner. He did not start a task he could not finish. Even though Derek was in extreme pain and could barely move, he had his father beside his side, helping him complete the last leg of the race. With his arm draped across his father, the officials from the Olympics were trying to intervene, and his father just waved them off. By now, the other racers had crossed the finish line. Essentially, the race was over. But the race was not over for Derek. You see, Derek had worked hard for this moment. He had trained months and years just for this one moment. He endured pains and pitfalls along the way. He had sacrificed everything just for this moment, just for this race. He was not about to let anything stop him from finishing this race. This was his moment. This was his time. This was what he was striving for his entire life. In the eyes of Derek, this was it. But in the eyes of others, Derek had failed. He did not win the race. He did not even place in the race. Officially, he was even disqualified from the race. He did not accomplish the goal he had set before himself. However, Derek was still a winner. You see, even though his father helped him cross that finish line, he still crossed the finish line. Because the mark of a true winner cannot always be seen. True winners know victory is internal. One wins from within prior to the outer appearances of winning. You see, for Derek, this was bigger than winning the race. It was about finishing what he had started. What have you started, but not finished? Did you start a task only to get midway, encounter difficulties, then quit? Did you start taking classes for a degree, possibly fail a test or two, and then abruptly quit going to classes? Were you pursuing a promotion at work, only to get passed over for the promotion, and then you quit striving to do better? What have you quit on in life? There's a huge difference between failing and quitting. All of us have encountered failures at some point in life. Even some of the ones we consider the greatest among us have experienced failure at some point in life. You see, according to Forbes magazine, Oprah Winfrey is worth $3 billion. Oprah is considered the first African American female billionaire. We all know Oprah had one of the greatest talk shows ever. It ruled the airwaves for 25 seasons. We've seen Oprah's new TV network OWN. We know her production company Harpo. We know about her magazine. We know Oprah has opened a school for girls in South Africa. We know that Oprah has several homes, private jets, anything you can imagine, Oprah has. And this is not bad for a girl from Mississippi, born to a teenage mother and a rough upbringing. You see, most of us have come to know Oprah as a well-known philanthropist, a media queen, a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But few know the Oprah who at the age of 22 and a recent graduate of Tennessee State University went to work for WJZ TV station in Baltimore. Few of us know when she was working at this TV station, she endured being humiliated, embarrassed, and even sexually harassed. During her years in Baltimore, she stated she was shaken to her very core. The TV station even felt she was dull and stiff on the air. They even eventually fired her from her time slot on the air. And they didn't totally dismiss her. They had this failing TV show called People Are Talking. So they said, hey, Oprah, you can take over this failing TV show. But her taking over this TV show forever changed the course of her career. You see, in Baltimore, she encountered obstacles and had some pains. But she endured the pain and she overcame the obstacles. Just as Oprah, I hope you fail. A few years after college graduation, Joanne Rowland found herself in a failed marriage. She was jobless, a single parent. She was poor. She was even dependent on government assistance. She had hit a low point in her life. She was in a state of disrepair and hopeless. She felt she was the biggest failure ever. She had hit rock bottom. It was at this point she felt she had a solid foundation to rebuild herself because she had nothing else left. And at this point she began writing what would become Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Upon completion of this manuscript, It was rejected by countless publishers, so she endured failure once again. And then finally, in 1997 of June, Bloomsbury Children's Books first published Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Since publishing her first book, she has become a best-selling author, winning numerous awards, and she's written even more books. The Harry Potter fantasy series is one of the most popular book and film franchises in history. You see, J.K. Rowling said it best. It is impossible to live without failing at something. Unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default. Now, just as she failed, I hope you fail. At 30 years old, he was wildly successful and very wealthy. Steve Jobs had revolutionized the personal computing industry. He had taken a product that was started off in a garage at the age of 21 with his partner and built it into a billion-dollar empire. Then in 1984, he debuted the Macintosh computer, a computer created by a team he led. Jobs was known as someone who demanded greatness, and he was also a stern leader. But through his leadership and tenacity, he and his team created a masterful product. But there was a power struggle between Jobs and then CEO John Sculley. Ultimately, Jobs was removed from his command of the Macintosh group. Then Jobs was forced out of Apple. At this moment, he had hit rock bottom. One moment he was a superstar, the next moment he was at a crossroads in his life. During this crossroads, he started several startup companies with modest success. Then years later in 1996, he returned back to Apple and he became CEO. During his second act at Apple, he was not just a visionary, but also a businessman. Jobs stated the revolution of Apple probably would not have occurred if he had not been fired. He said it was an awful task taking the medicine of being fired. But he said as a patient, it's just what he needed. Failure is what ultimately catapulted Steve Jobs into the Steve Jobs we know now. So just as Steve Jobs failed, I hope you fail. Then there was this high school dropout. This high school dropout had many failed business ventures. He was also fired from one job for not being creative enough. He was also bankrupt at times. Several strings of failures throughout his life of the man we all know as Walt Disney. Yes, the Walt Disney who created the most magical place on earth. A man who created a place for families to create childhood memories and dreams. Walt Disney once said, "All of our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them." And this all came from a man who was bankrupt, fired for not being creative, a high school dropout, who endured failure after failure. Just as Walt Disney failed, I hope you fail. Michael Jordan said it best. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again in life. But that is why I succeed. As Michael Jordan has failed time and time again, I hope you fail. You see, you miss 100% of the shots you do not take. So take the shot. So what if you miss? But what if you make it? In this game of life, you are destined to win. The only way you do not win is if you quit. As the old saying goes, winners never quit and quitters never win. Everyone in life has encountered speed bumps along the way. Everyone has encountered pitfalls along the way. Everyone has failed at something. The key is when you fail, stop, reflect, make adjustments, but keep going forth. Some will say though, I thought life was supposed to be easy. I should not have to go through anything. I thought my life was just going to be a linear line moving forward and increasing. I should not have to deal with pitfalls and valleys. I agree. You should not have to deal with these things. And I even began to wonder at one point in my life, why do these things happen in life? Especially, why do these things happen to good people? I can see failures and pitfalls happening to bad people, as you get what you deserve. But good people, people who do right, people who play by the rules, respect others and work hard, they shouldn't experience failures and setbacks. I understand reaching new levels takes time, but if I'm not mistaken, if I'm going forward and I keep taking 2 steps forward, but every so often I take a step backwards, that's hindering my process, and it's making it longer. Then one day, I was flying into LAX, and it all began to make sense to me, this thing called life. As we were flying into LAX, I looked out the window and noticed the Los Angeles skyline. The skyline was beautiful. Many of the buildings were at least 50 stories high. At this point, my inquisitive mind began to think about how skyscrapers are built. When building a skyscraper, one does not start by building straight up, but one begins by digging deep into the ground to create a foundation of stability. In order to build something of incredible heights, one has to dig deep to ensure the foundation is rock solid, as the foundation will be supporting a great structure. Similar to when you fail, you are just digging a little deeper to create a solid foundation. You are digging a little deeper to prepare you for something greater than you even imagined. Some will say, but I failed more than once. That means you did not dig deep down far enough the first time or the previous occasions to support what is coming in the future. So when one sees these beautiful skyscrapers, the one thing they do not think about and notice are the blood, sweat, and tears that were put into the foundation, similar to the pitfalls that are failures you may have experienced. Everyone sees those outward signs of success, but they do not see what you have overcome and what you have endured to make it to this point. One has to remember, unlike when a house is being built, skyscrapers take years to build and years to mold. But once they are built, they stand the test of time. They stand as a testament of hard work and dedication. They stand for the world to see. They stand to show others it can be done. They can do it also. I don't want you to let a setback or failure make you quit. Only look at a setback or a failure as you're digging a little deeper so you can rise even higher. You see, if you quit, you won't rise to where you're meant to be. If you quit, you will not see your dreams come to pass. If you quit, you will not be able to reach back and help others on this path called life. If you quit, you are giving up on yourselves. You see, everyone has a story of failure, but everyone does not have a story of victory. Make sure your story has a victorious ending. I notice many people love to read these books and watch movies with these happy endings. But think about it for a moment. What makes a happy ending? To have a happy ending, you have to have a horrible storyline. A storyline filled with rejection, guilt, and failure after failure after failure. But just as when watching the movie or reading the book, if you stop after the failures, you end the story at that point. If you don't keep going, you won't see the happy ending which is awaiting you. Just be patient and keep on pushing. It is going to work out. You're going to achieve your goals and your dreams. I believe in you. I just need you to believe in you. You're going to fail. You're going to fail, and I hope you fail. But when you fail, I want to make sure you get back up and keep going. Do not put a comma. Do not put a period where there should be a comma. Again, do not put a period where there should be a comma in your life. Keep going. This has been Dr. Christopher J. Childs on behalf of Academic Rockstars. And I'm telling you, I hope you fail. You see, if you've never failed, you've never tried, because we all have failed at some point. Remember, live life to the fullest. You only get one.